welcome everybody to the Onward VR Master League Season 11, Week 2. My name is NightFiree with 2 E's. I'm joined by my co-caster, Theta. How are you doing today, Theta?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I can't blame you. It's going to be an exciting afternoon of Onward. Frankly, it's an exciting afternoon of VRML. If you're not aware, Echo Arena's Season 3 is coming to a conclusion. Well, the regular season games are coming to a conclusion today. They'll be in their postseason next weekend, so some exciting stuff there. And obviously, we have 3 games live here for Season 11, Week 2 of the Onward VR Master League. I mean, a lot of, honestly, all 3 games pretty hype, but this one in particular, a very storied match. BossFight versus Beginners. Theta, what do you think we're going to see here today?
Well, this is a long-standing rivalry. It goes all the way back to Season 2, and both teams sort of have a reputation for being very good at long-range maps. We're already seeing that with the first map pick, as we will discuss. But, yeah, I think we're going to see some excellent high-level, patient play from both teams.
Yeah, and I mean, that first map of the day is going to be Snow Peak. Getting into that before we get into our bans, but it's an interesting map pick, and it does sort of... It's a map that I've really come around to as I've been watching it over the course of Season 10 and 11, and I'm very interested to see what sort of strats we get out of BossFight and Beginners on this map. You know, what kind of objectives we get. Are we going to get some of that long-range action that Snow Peak does have, or is it going to be close quarters? Kind of that's the joy of Snow Peak, is that it does have that variety.
Couldn't agree more. This is one of my favorite maps, and it's because you can have so many different play styles coalescing into one place. And I think we're going to see something very interesting here, and especially Snow Peak has been out of the map pool for a while, and now it's coming back. I personally can't wait to see the strategies these high-level teams are pulling out to win on this map.
Yep, and speaking, before we get into this series, because both teams do seem to be ready, let's take a look at our bans on the day. I think coming in from BossFight, we have a Suburbia ban. That's not terribly out of the ordinary, if I'm remembering correctly, Theta. Is that they've tended to ban Suburbia in the past, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. They do not like playing Suburbia. I can identify with that. I don't like it either.
The close quarters, the hedges, certainly some of the new objectives too, making it quite a wild map, as we did see yesterday. But again, interested to see what we get here on Snow Peak. I don't think we know Beginner's ban. Hopefully we can get that info at some point to you, but if we don't, then I'm assuming they banned something. We just don't know quite yet what it is. But either way, that is the info we have for this series. Starting rosters for BossFight is Radarhead, Scooby-Doo, 35, Leggle, and Lonely Viper. And over on Beginners, we have Strayjack, Dr. Killinger, Icy Woods, Pause, and Smoils. So curious to see what we get as round 1 is underway. We don't got to wait any longer, Theta.
And the anticipation is already building as the countdown starts.
Indeed it is, and I want to see what kind of rollout BossFight goes with, considering they technically have this quick spawn on this objective. They can ride this south ravine all the way up to the objective and be a threat right away if they want. Radarhead is going to be using this ravine here to push up with 35 at his back, and they may very well run into some advancing defenders from the likes of Killinger and Smoils.
Yeah, it looks like, so 2 versus 3 in the south. And already Smoils throwing out a flash, getting in their face a little bit.
I think a pretty good flash, too. Radar seems to be blinded by a 35. Up over the top, though, wasn't, as he had the back angle there. He scoops up the kill. Radarhead there to confirm, and a great little back. I mean, that's why you have that duo. That's why you go with 2, so you can get refrags, so you can support your teammate, and to just have that little bit of elevation there, just to be able to duck in underneath those flashes. Really great job from 35. The problem is there's more in front of him, as Icy Woods and Killinger are in position to sort of next up.
Yeah, it looks like the Beginners are creating sort of a firing objective. You can see it's a little spread out, but pretty well organized from what I can tell. And there's an attack coming from the opposite side of the lake, but they are taking their time at the moment. So I think after that initial engagement, we may be waiting for a little bit more action there. Although it looks like Pause just got called out. Ooh, Viper takes out Stray Jack.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on Viper. He is known for that long-range sniping, and with Snow Peak, it's certainly going to be something he's going to be able to do, and he does it right there. He snags an early pick, and beginners are down 2 right away. 5 left alive for the likes of this boss fight offense, and they are starting to slowly encircle on this OBJ as Viper now takes up a commanding position inside this bunker and has some great lines of sight down into some possible defensive spots. He clears those out, and we'll see if this boss fight offense can sync up on this push.
Yeah, and that bunkers area, which is a new addition to Snow Peak since it got added, is such a powerful spot to hang out from, especially if you have the long-range chops of a lonely Viper.
Certainly, indeed. You love to see some of these new additions. There's a great nade toss, goes just maybe a couple of yards out of range of downing 35. Now shots ringing in from radar. 35 pops up immediately as soon as those shots come in from that other side, over from Viper, I believe. The coordination there, the synced up as they do try and catch out the rotation. Woods is able to drop back, though. And I wonder where the rest of this offense is, because we've really just been tracking this trio and the lone attacker on the side. They have Scooby-Doo maybe watching for a flank.
Well, on the opposite side, on the lake, Radar Head is approaching Pause's position.
Getting danger close.
Yeah, there's shots coming out from the other side of the map that may be a distraction. I don't know if Pause is aware that he has 3, actually 4 now, members of BossFight approaching him.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to know now if Scooby shoots.
They're using this little tiny defilade here on this by the lake to their advantage. As now Radar full sprints out as after he's crouched past, might be able to scoop Pause up. No, he doesn't ID Pause to his left. Pause dips back out and does open up more, I guess, room for this boss fight offense to push forward towards objective. They are getting ever so close to encircling around it, and beginners have to be cautious of a cap. Radar Head could sneak in here through this defense.
Yeah, the noose is tightening, and Radar Head is on the objective right now. I see Woods looking south,
Wow.
Pause looking the opposite direction as well. This is going to be a cap. This is happening.
Yeah, they're not detecting this. Boss fight kick off map number 1 in the beginners series with a cap of all things. What a fantastic start for this boss fight team.
Just unbelievable. What a play. And they did such a good job of drawing attention to the south and then sending the bulk of their team the opposite direction. They had a bunch of fire coming from the south, and then they just shifted everybody down that way, and then Radar Head flew in through that little wrinkle in the the far west, right onto the objective. It was just fantastic offensive play by BossFight on that.
And I think that was with, well, maybe the disconnect came after the W, because they had I believe everyone up alive as they pushed in on that objective, but just a great little maneuver there, honestly, to work up along the lake like they did, get past Pause's defensive position. And to your earlier point, that certainly was distracting fire over on that south ravine, because, man, did it draw the attention of Woods. And especially after Killinger went down, Woods had to keep his focus on this south entry point, and he just couldn't afford to get a better angle to be able to look on the other side of that helicopter. And ultimately, Radar finds the gap in coverage that very rarely presents itself with the beginners team.
Yeah, and I think there's probably some connoisseurs out there who are sweating a little bit, because the votes right now are 61 for beginners and 7 for BossFight. So if BossFight were to pull this off, it would be a pretty major upset. All that being said, that was the first round. Still have a lot of rounds to play, but at least a few beads of sweat forming on the foreheads of everybody who voted for beginners after a round like that.
Yeah, no kidding. But, you know, to your point, you really can't count beginners out at any point. And I frankly, I don't think I've seen them start a series this way. I don't think I've ever seen beginners have a map start off with a cap like this. So I'm very interested to see how they mentally bounce back from this and recuperate. I think they're just as capable of capping on this objective. So gonna be curious to see what sort of offensive rollout they go with. I imagine it'll be a little bit slower than what BossFight put up there. I imagine they'll probably try and get control all the way of that north end and make an entry from there, but very curious to see what they bring here, because now they kind of have to be thinking cap, right? Especially the beginners team. I would think that the cap is going to be a goal of theirs here on this next offensive rollout.
Yeah, and to your earlier point, anybody that's played beginners, or really any team at this level, you have to know that even if you pull off a round like that, they never quit internally. They know they're going to keep, they're going to keep fighting. The best teams know how to just sort of ignore the bad rounds and keep moving forward. So yeah, this is far from over for sure.
Far from over, but certainly exciting. BossFight with a 2-0 lead as we take ourselves into round number 2. They got to be feeling good with that kickoff. And I mean, it's something we got to think about here. BossFight now have a good bit of momentum. They have a lot of comfort in a 2-0 lead. And right now, they really just need to get into some solid defensive positions and stay tucked in. They don't need to go for any sort of pick outs early or anything like that. But we'll see, as beginners do get that mirrored spawn and do go for a similar split, although it's 3-2 this time. Or 4-1, actually. Wow.
And Viper's taking up a position with his sniper rifle in the far west. I think they are anticipating something similar to what they did, maybe hoping somebody tries to cross near the lake somewhere. So far, beginners are not doing that, although it looks like... Who is this? This is Smoils is coming around through the center there. Viper may spot him if he starts moving forward.
Well, if you do know Smoils, you know that he's their LMG suppressive expert, so it doesn't surprise me that he's going to be pushing into more of a central position in the map, most likely to draw fire and attention while this South Ravine push makes its rotation.
Yep, one picking the spot where before the round
Yeah, I think you're right about that, because they're setting up another firing line offensively this time in the south, and Smoils will likely be dumping fire onto the objective to draw attention. And then I would expect that there's going to be smokes coming out from this offensive line in the south.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we got to talk about, is that utility usage is back in play. It was out for all of Season 10, but that is not the case here anymore. And we haven't really seen any, well, I guess we only had one round, but we haven't seen any smokes yet, and certainly could come into play here. Killinger does throw some rounds downrange towards the Legel, who seems to be trying to peek that corner, and all information gained.
Yeah, it's just interesting looking at this map, because it's almost like they're mirroring each other in some sense, just two lines facing each other. It's a matter of who's going to pierce the veil first more than anything.
They're really just using these rocks, these mountains interstitched in. Oh, what happened there? Killinger downs himself.
Yeah, maybe a botch throw of some kind.
Yeah, let's just fucking push him. I'm gonna flash him.
And that can be critical, because now he is compromised in terms of body armor if he's wearing it. His health is going to be lower, so he's easier to kill. It's amazing how little things like that can end up being a big deal.
Push seems to be coming in. Legel trying to hold down as a nice flash comes up and over. Legel completely blind. There's a C4 toss to counter it, though. Pause goes down. Utility comes up and over to confirm. There's a good flash from Legel. He can push off of that, because Killinger certainly can't see right now. I don't think Woods was caught by it, and now as the flash dissipates, Woods peeks up and over and finds the kill.
And Pause just got revived after getting C4'd, so now there's a hole in the south, and beginners are in a good position to just push through this minor weakness that's been created.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to talk about prioritizing coverage in the south. Woods was very focused in maintaining the coverage here on the south side, but BossFight, after losing Legel, have really lost control of this south. They don't have anyone here to cover this back rotation, and I'm very curious to see how this shakes up for them.
Yeah, and Smoyle's watching the north side of this base, and Strayjack also approaching. Oh, Paz is in 35.
Great, I killed the guy.
Yeah, Paz takes out somebody, and then
Yeah,
35 does as well. So 3v4.5. 3v5 now.
Yeah.
But
well, 2v5 beginners are collapsing on this objective. Scooby-Doo and Lonely Viper actually now the only Viper left alive, and he has to keep coverage here because BossFight are pushing in on into objective, and Killinger, recognizing that he doesn't have cover to punch in the code, pulls up the rifle and goes for the kill. And yeah, this is certainly what you would expect out of this series, but geez, beginners did not lose one as they push in for that round 2 victory.
yeah, this is the playstyle I like to think of as walk, walk, run. So you just see the teams kind of probing each other, then bang, all this stuff starts happening all at once. And we really saw that on that round. It was lots of observation and sort of homework on each other. And then all of a sudden, people started dying rapidly. And it went from this is kind of a neutral situation to, wow, I actually thought beginners were going to cap right there. Lonely Viper rotated just in time and made it so that they had to get that kill, but that could have easily been 2-2 right away.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't even check, but what was the time left on that round? Because they certainly did push in, it seemed to me, pretty quickly. They didn't really, to your point, the walk didn't ever really stop. They took their initial position in the South Ravine and then just continued to walk down that South Ravine and challenge one defender after the next and eventually get their way all the way up around the objective. So a solid push there by beginners, very methodical, exactly what you would expect. And if your BossFight, that round 1 cap maybe doesn't feel as secure as of a lead as it did, because beginners certainly have come to play with that offensive round. And you know, we talked about the map having variety. We do now shift to the mountain objective inside the tunnels, and you get a whole kind of different map almost with this objective.
Yeah, 2 different objectives with 2 totally different playstyle demands built into them. This one, I think you can get away with a lot more aggressive plays than you would on that last objective, because there's just far less open space that you have to cover. This is also a great objective for C4.
Yep.
I imagine we will be seeing some of that being used by these teams.
That's what you're seeing there is pre-fire for a quick spawn. The enemy offense can technically be right here at these tunnels, depending on their spawn. Obviously, BossFight did not get that quick spawn and opted for a longer rotation to get into the tunnels instead of going in through the parking garage.
It looks like they're splitting up now, and they have one trailing player way out in the back, 35. So it looks like they're just going to try to come from both sides, if I were to guess.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for that 2-2-1 split. They're going to try and send that one all the way up into the north. And then they're going to collapse onto the 2 entry points into the tunnel with this duo, as Legel does work his way ever so slowly up.
Strayjack and Scooby-Doo about to see each other in the tunnels. Shots fired. Strayjack backs up. Yeah, Strayjack just gave the call out. They now know that there's at least one wing of the attack coming. One wing of the attack coming from this side. I think was more his goal than anything. He didn't seem that interested in engaging them, more like just wanted to gather information.
Very interesting approach here. And a good solid defensive setup there. Nicely spread, but all holding important angles. And to the point, Strayjack, although pretty far forward, can gain some information and radio that back as shots do come in from Strayjack, more from Scooby-Doo, and Strayjack again trips off here. Lonely Viper now has control of the tunnel, and slowly but surely BossFight gain control of these corridors to push forward.
Killinger's watching this north side of the tunnel, and 35 was approaching. For whatever reason, he tossed a smoke and rotated. Maybe he just got the feeling there was going to be somebody there. Instincts are paying off in that case, but he decides to rotate around.
Yeah, Strazak is just he has these tunnels to work with, so he can have this he has the advantage of being able to push out where he is, but Radarhead is slowly working up through the tunnels behind him, trying to make his entry into the objective space. And you know, if Strazak has to be able to drop back and react here, it may be an avenue for Radarhead to find a flank as well, because Strazak slowly is getting encircled here by the offense.
Smoils and Pause both watching the south side. But I think if they get compromised, this objective is wide open.
Strazak trading with Radar is resible, but it's going to allow entry in here. Radar opening up that opportunity for Viper and that duo to push through. Legel has made it through the smoke, and he's up on a nice ledge, scoops up Smoils with a great angle here just over the top of this smoke grenade, and now Woods has to come out and look for a peek. He catches some fire. Viper and Scooby-Doo are starting to collapse in. Killinger's on the rotation back. Pause finds the kill. Here comes the push from BossFight with the 3. 35 finds one in the north. Viper's here taking shots towards Pause. Pause doesn't go down, but Viper is scooped up, and the smoke grenade really wreaking havoc on Vision. As 35's pat out, trying to punch in code. He's trying to lock in the series, and he does. Map 1
Oh my
goes
goodness.
to a double cap from BossFight.
What a cap. Wow. Both of those defenders were rushing him. The smoke saved his life, and they got him right after he put it in. The timing on that just could not have been better. What a map.
What a map indeed. A fantastic series is that replay. Unfortunately, a bit of a late one, but a good one either way. Well, not the right one either, unfortunately. Sorry for that. But fantastic series. I mean, geez, what a great couple of caps from BossFight there to lock in map 1 just from beginners who were looking good. I mean, their offensive round was so powerful. They had 5 alive to then have the smoke grenades come in. The perfect swing up from Legel to get up onto that snow and take shots down. And then the coordination that you love to see out of a top tier team. Perfectly timed as Legel makes entry. Radarhead and squad come charging in. You have the pickup from 35 on the north defense. Pause somehow doesn't die, and they manage to at least fend off the initial entry. But the smokes playing such huge roles here in this first map of the day. I love to see it, and man, BossFight really playing well here to lock in this first map.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Just incredible plays there. Yeah, I think everybody was expecting this to be a little tighter, but a 4-1 to BossFight on the very first map. I think that's a little bit shocking. All that being said, there's still 2 more maps to play. Beginners are never out of the fight, and we'll see what they pick to go to next.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting a lobby remake, so I'm gonna guess USS Quest. I'm assuming maybe someone doesn't have the updated, most recent version of the map. Which is why we had to remake the lobby. That's my best guess. Well, we don't know quite yet, but that would be quite an interesting pick coming from the likes of beginners, considering how close range of a map it is.
It is Quest. The lobby just got set up. We are going to USS Quest.
And I mean, I have this right? BossFight's home in this series, aren't they?
Correct. So this was a beginner's pick.
Wow. I mean, geez, you know, not what I would expect here. Coming in from beginners, a team that is known for their success on a map like Downfall. Known for being good on long. I mean, geez, but they just proved that they have that on Snow Peak, a map that does have long range, that BossFight can win. And to the point of the long range, you almost can't pick into downfall against BossFight because you have the sniper coming in from Lonely Viper, and he is devastating with that long range rifle. He makes it so difficult to play on these big open maps, and so maybe the close quarters of USS Quest is the right choice.
Yeah, and I think sometimes teams get a little stereotyped, and beginners
Sure.
is maybe the one that gets the most stereotyped because they have a more patient playstyle on average. But make no mistake, beginners are good across the board. They're good at close quarters, they're good at long range. You cannot count them out no matter what the situation is. I think they have a kind of a proclivity towards longer range maps and longer range play, but that doesn't mean they can't show up and perform on a small map like this.
Yeah, and I mean, to the point of the bans, you know, BossFight did ban Suburbia. They do ban it regularly, but beginners do play well on Suburbia. They really have honed in that map and can be very effective on both defense and offense on that map. So, yeah, not a surprise, I guess, that it is ultimately coming to the close quarters, especially, like I said, when you look at the enemy team and where they excel. So, if Quest is going to be the beginner's pick here for map 2, I think we could probably wager that map 3 is going to take us to Quarantine. I'm going to guess the beginner's ban was Downfall.
That would not surprise me. Yeah, I think Quarantine's a good guess. I would probably take the same if I were thinking about the pool right now, because they already did Snow Peak. That would be the other one I would think of. So Quarantine would be next on the list for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, geez, but what a great performance so far from this BossFight team. They are going up against beginners, a team that has historically won the VR Master League season after season, and a team that has always given BossFight trouble when they've gone up against them. To win that first map like that with 2 caps, man, what just great, again, great coordination, and that's what it takes. Up against beginners, you don't get a cap unless you are synced up like that. You know, those opportunities don't present themselves unless everyone attacks just at the right time.
So true. And this is like the thing that newer teams struggle with, is like coordinating across a map, especially a big one. It's just so hard to get that timing right. And ultimately, a lot of it is just time and experience playing with the same people over and over again. And these teams have been playing together for so long. They know each other so well. It's almost instinct at this point. And that's why you see them able to execute on plays like that.
Right.
There was, you know, of course, they're using the radios and all that, but most of that's just implicit communication. They're just thinking the right way along the same lines in these very, very fast moments. And you see it coalesce into moments where they can get a cap even when there's 2 defenders right on the objective.
Looking at the roster here, BossFight have brought in a sub, Highfish, coming in for the USS Quest map, and maybe an adjustment there to try and shift towards that close quarters. But with round 1 underway, no subs coming in from beginners. We'll see what beginners can do as they go on the offense on USS Quest on map 2.
No, I think there was a VRML on containers. Smells unpleasant.
Okay.
I'm pushing the box.
Gonna get a swing wide here from Smoils and Killinger. Viper doesn't quite have an angle on it. Killinger flashes out, up and over, and Viper nearly goes down as he tries to get his nade off down that lane. And one of the things I love about this red lane is this sort of crouch cover that you can take and how effective it is. As Viper peeks up there, sees Killinger, can now crouch back and drop off before he can get scooped up. In the meanwhile, a couple going down in the center. Pause and Icy Woods finding their kills.
I got 4 killed, 1 middle of the deck.
Yeah, we're not even a minute into the match. We already have a ton of gunfire. Ooh. Yeah,
Yikes.
only Viper goes down in the red lane, as you were calling it, and now it's 2v4. This is not a good situation to be in if you're BossFight.
Not at all. Radarhead has to cover this lane here, and Killinger has the oversight. Smoils is here. Radar swings around to then check the middle, and Woods is there to find the kill. 35 now, the lone defender. And frankly, he just has to stay on this side of the objective, and he can hold it properly, but seems to be a little bit concerned about entry from the front. Spots Strayjack swinging into the corner. Strayjack goes for the refrag and finds it with a trade. Beginners with 3 left alive kick off this map 2 with a lead and a Marsoc W. And to the point, that was quick, Theta.
Yes, it was. There was a lot going on there. And again, people talk about beginners like they just love the long range and that's all they do. You can tell they know what they're doing on this map. I thought BossFight actually had a pretty good defensive setup, but beginners just sliced right through it.
They really did. The push up that red lane, as it's been ID'd to me, and it does make, I like the call out for it. It's got those red lights over there, and
I'm stealing that one, by the way.
Oh, please do. I think it should become the common trend. It's volatile, you know. It's with all of these impenetrable I don't know what they're called, concrete blocks. There's so much cover to be had. You can crouch all your way up to this objective practically and be a serious threat. So it forces defenses to cover it, and just a great ultimate maneuvering up there with the Overwatch firing in for suppressive fire, Smoils pushing up to get the kills, the pinch, again, the timing from beginners, very well coordinated. They apply pressure from the center while they're getting the advantage down that red lane, and ultimately they get that Marsoc W. This map is volatile though, and we'll see if BossFight can mimic the same sort of success that they had on map 1 as we do hop in to round 2.
Let's do this. It's going straight in for the pre-fire. Is that left?
And look at this, a similar offensive rollout, taking control of this red lane is Lonely Viper and Radar, and Viper's throwing that suppressive fire up over the top to force the crouch positions of both Smoils and Paz, but Smoils has pushed up relatively nicely. He's going to flash out up and over to try and see if he can peek. Doesn't catch anyone with that flash. Another one comes over. Viper's pretty far from that flash, so it's not going to find him, and Radar's patiently waiting inside the crate, so he finds the first kill of this round, and now Paz, the lone defender here, up against 2 as the rest of the offense begins to push in through the center. Ooh. Maybe begins to die in the center as Woods and Killinger both find kills. A nade comes up and over. A great confirmed nade. 35 gets confirmed. Another nade coming in. Lego has to be careful as he makes his way up along this ledge, and if he's quiet, he can really find some good picks. Woods swings just at the right time. He finds the kill. Radarhead scoops up one. Viper swinging around for a rotation, and a couple of kills from this red lane keep things even, well, close to it as we're into a 3v2.
Yeah, and 2 totally different defensive styles. BossFight had sort of a box around the objective. They were surrounding it, whereas Beginners has elected, as Radarhead takes out Killinger, Beginners have elected to be pretty far forward most of the time, create more of a straight line across the deck.
Oh, a great nade toss from Strayjack, catches Radarhead as he tries to drop off, and now we're going to get into the interesting rotations of Lonely Viper as he throws a smoke up through the center and then shifts off of what was going to be the swing over to that opposite side of the aircraft carrier, and then drops back to get the res onto Radar.
Yeah, and on a map like this, 3 minutes and 55 seconds, which is where we are right about now, that's more than enough time to make this kind of rotation, get the revive, and even it up again, because Lonely Viper does not want to have to do this by himself.
Echo 2.
Yeah, they've got the res, and suddenly this is looking pretty good. They can make their way up through this red lane very easily, relatively undetected, until they're almost right on top of the objective. And so Strayjack has to stay disciplined. Woods has to be careful of getting hit from his side here once Viper and Radar do make their push, but he's so occupied with checking for the position of what was the rotation from Viper that he now doesn't spot anybody. Viper smokes out and pushes forward. Strayjack seems to be flashed on the corner as Viper gets danger close. Woods with a great distraction But it's
Oh, and
against
Viper's
his
on the
own
objective.
team. Yeah, Viper's here. Woods trying to get it here. BossFight looking for another cap. Can Viper get it in time? He can't. Icy Woods saves the day. Beginners nearly capped on a third time in a row. And now it's up to Radar Head in a 1v1.
I think what happened there was Viper was in the wall of that container because it looked like he had to bounce out a little bit to keep going on the tablet. Those couple of seconds might have been what made the difference there. Icy Woods also with a very good rotation, realizing that he was the last one up and no one was on objective.
One of the things I do really like about this map, amongst a lot of things, honestly, it's one of the maps I really do enjoy watching, is this lane that Radar Head's taking now. It's such an interesting little avenue that you have to be aware of if you're on the defense, because it can get exploited like it is with Radar Head. You can crouch and push all the way up to behind the objective to a flanking position. And if Woods doesn't dedicate what is a very lofty peak to check down this lane, he's never going to spot this push up. And like you said, there's a lot of time still left on the clock with 1:40, so Radar can slowly work his way up, and I think Woods is going to finally check the lane. Radar's waiting. The kill comes in, and Radar takes the trade. BossFight secure their Marsoc round, and hey, we're trading Marsoc rounds now.
Wow. Yeah, just another fantastic round. A lot of action. And that was a critical trade because it's so much harder to come back from a 2-0 than it is 1-1. Like 1-1, you still feel, at least psychologically, like you're in the fight. 2-0 is a real punch in the gut to start a map on. So that, I think, should be a big morale boost at the very least to BossFight.
Absolutely a solid and forth that we are in here. And I said that we're trading Marsoc rounds now. We've been trading Marsoc rounds this whole series. There hasn't been a Volk W yet.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about that, but that's absolutely correct.
And it's got me wondering, Theta, are we seeing a shift in the meta here? I mean, obviously, Season 11 is changing how things operate, right? We don't have the Volk drone. You don't have the Marsoc shield. There's the smokes back in play, and the C4 is re-enabled, but we haven't seen a single C4 from either Volk side yet, and so maybe that's a reason why they haven't had as much success, because they haven't necessarily adapted to the C4 again. But these teams are C4 veterans. I remember beginners being experts at C4 placement.
Yeah, I think it's maybe just a little bit of the mixing of the meta from this season and the meta of last season, because we only had the 5-minute timer last season, no smokes, all that. So there was a real emphasis on aggressive offensive play. And I think we're just seeing that kind of lingering on even in these top teams in this season.
Frankly, I'm happy it happened. I think it evolved. I think it evolved these teams to be even better than they were, because now, like you said, they have the arsenal of quick play in their back pocket. They know how to do it, but they also now have the utility back in their toolkit. So very interested to see, especially how this USS Quest map folds out. But dang, this series has been exciting so far, Theta.
Yeah, this is the spice we all tuned in for, no doubt.
A heavy red lane push coming in. Smoils and Killinger advancing forward, and they're going to have an easy time pushing up here because no one's covering this lane. Viper and Highfish, if anything, waiting for the push to come to them.
And Icy Woods was watching that catwalk where the trade happened last round, but he paid for that. Radar Head picks him off, so now beginners have an open flank. Although it looks like they're now adjusting to that. Strayjack falling back from the red lane. Same with Pause. Keep an eye out for anybody that's going to try to get that dominant angle on them.
And I like this BossFight defensive setup because we got 35 in Lego that are advanced up here now, and they have these forward defensive positions almost waiting now for beginners to shift and rotate off of that red lane and try and challenge up through the center. And it's going to be bad news if they do rotate. Doesn't seem to be the case, though, as they are slowly working themselves up along this red lane. Viper disperses a C4 out. That's not going to catch anyone, but that's utility gone.
Yeah, still a lot of action on the red lane. It'll be red with some bloodstains here in a moment because there is a lot of attention that's about to be focused on it.
Yeah, and again, I really like this map. I love all the little nooks and crannies, all of the little ledges you can dip down into, the little, even on the ledges, those out shots that you can get into. And Smoils finally finds Viper, who's getting a little too movement heavy there on his defensive position. And now they've taken this red lane. Highfish does briefly swing over Smoils' direction. 35 has a line of sight down towards the subjective, but they're danger close to allowing beginners to set up for a cap. Where are the smokes is the question. If beginners had some smokes on objective, it would be all theirs.
Yeah, their radar head is dedicated to this sort of catwalk flank, but there's no one over there. And if they start storming through that red lane with smokes, like you said, this could get ugly pretty fast. Wow, just like that, a bunch of death over in the red lane. It's now just Killinger over there. 35 knows he's around the corner.
Shots taken. Killinger somehow just navigating around it. Radar head drops back. Strajak not able to pick up radar head off of the rotation, and now he's here to defend as Killinger finds the shots in a trade. Leaves Strajak the last one alive, but beginners just barely lock in another Marsoc round.
And the lack of Volk W's continues. It's just Marsoc rounds all around.
Kind of crazy. I mean, it used to be such a heavy advantage towards the Volk side, but man, I mean, I guess if you think about it, we're on relatively new maps, Snow Peak and USS Quest, not maps that are played very often. And if anything, if you talk about the history of this matchup, these teams have almost never faced off against each other on these maps. So they're both getting sort of a fresh perspective on both play style that they very rarely have an opportunity. I mean, you're talking years of playing against each other on the same maps for 10 seasons, and now with season 11 we're finally getting some fresh variety and getting a real good sense of, well, who's gonna win? I guess I don't have a good sense. I don't know how this series is gonna go.
It's tough, yeah. And what we're seeing on these custom maps is, you know, nobody has a map knowledge advantage for the most part. Like, I'm sure both teams did homework about this, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the fundamentals. Who is fundamentally strong enough to adapt when you've never faced off on this map before? If you faced off on Downfall a million times, you have a sense of their tendencies and their patterns and what they're going to do. But on a map like this, you truly have no idea. Maybe there's, you know, a cast or something you could watch, but even then, most of the time there isn't. So it's just who plays better in the moment. To me, it's a fantastic test of skill.
That's the main reason why I was so excited about this map pool and about finally a shift in the meta, at least with Season 10 even, with smokes being taken out. And it's, frankly, it's a trend I hope we continue to see as Season 11 continues to be quite exciting as we get into our next round. On already shots coming in as Killinger just barely survives on the corner.
BossFight distributing themselves a little more evenly than beginners did on that last round. They have people on the right, people on the left, or one person on the left and two people up the middle.
Yeah, it has its risks though, because a lot of these angles are covered up through the center. So if they do try pushing through the middle and go down, they lose one. The refrag tries to get scooped up there by 35 as he swings onto Icy Woods, but can't quite get it as Woods drops back. And you know, it's something that you love to see. I mean, geez, look at the reaction. The nades come instantly into the location that 35 just was. 35 shifts off of his original firing position, but Strajak's there to scoop up the kill. And we're seeing a mimic of what we had last round, where Radar pushed up along this along that that side alley, and We'll see if he finds success. In the meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, on the red lane, smokes are out. Smoils seems to be, well, not overwhelmed, but danger close to some enemies.
Echo 2, Echo 2.
Wow, yeah, Smoils pops out and just gets a fantastic headshot over that Hesco. Now it's just Viper in the red lane. He picks up Stray Jack and Smoils and
My
Pause.
goodness.
Wow, what a triple.
Huge triple, absolutely destroying on objective defense. Radar scoops up one on the backside. Killinger finally shuts down Lonely Viper, but they're into a 1v1 just like that. A 2v5 shifted it now to make things even.
And Viper single-handedly shifted the pendulum on that round. I mean, if they win this round, they can pretty much say that Viper is the one who swept in and made that happen. It's always a team effort, of course, but a triple right there on objective was just so critical.
Slowly working his way up. He's going to have to get up to this little ledge here and then push himself up to get an angle on to Killinger. He technically could just stand and be able to have a nice head peek up and over towards Killinger's position, but he doesn't want to give away that he's rotating here. And oh, this is interesting. He's not even going to go up the ramp. He's going to continue to push deeper back here, and then he'll take his peek up over the ledge here.
Not a bad idea, because the defenders are likely watching, or at least the assumption would be the defenders are watching the ramps. So if you don't come up on the predictable spot, you can maybe surprise them and get a shot off.
And he nearly has an angle there onto Killinger. Very fortunate that Killinger isn't trying to shift too heavily over to this side.
Yeah, the only problem I've ever had in that spot is it's easy to get your barrel stuck on that side and have your shots get absorbed by the deck. I think Radar Head may be tall enough for that.
Yep.
That's always a concern whenever I'm hanging out on that catwalk trying to shoot up. Oh, if Killinger exposes himself on the objective. Oh, and Radar Head just misses him.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
there's so much tension. Oh, I think he spotted him.
And now his position's given away, so now Killinger knows Radar's here. There's 2 minutes left, so a lot of time to work with. A flash comes out and over, and I think it... No, Killinger's safe. He's inside the crate, and he's staying tucked in there, so he's not going to push up onto Radar. And as I say that, he does swing out into this initial crate. Radar drops back off of that position, and they're both playing the game of cat and mouse as Radar Head is going to go for a pretty long rotation. Now, actually, he can come up onto this ramp and maybe challenge up through the center.
Now, that was a smart rotation, because if Killinger charges down towards that catwalk, you can shoot down on his head. And that would... Radar still would have a somewhat of an advantage, but this is better. Killinger is likely not expecting a rotation around him.
And the mind game's going on right now. Radar really trying to outthink his opponent, out-rotate. And he's doing it right now. And, oh, this is it. If he goes to red lane and can push up to the red lane, he's really going to catch Killinger off guard here.
And I don't think he'll be able to hear him. I think there's enough distance between the red lane and where Killinger is right now that he should be okay just running.
Interestingly
he's not going to take
enough,
that risk.
Yeah, Killinger is briefly checking towards objective just to make sure, but he's got his eye over towards the previous location of Radar Head. And at this point, he's got to be thinking about a rotation as well. So, man, a lot for Killinger to be processing right now, and especially with 30 seconds coming down, he's going to have to make sure he's got good objective coverage, because the last thing you want is another cap on your hands from the likes of BossFight.
And it was Radar Head who got that last cap, too. So if there's anybody that can do it, it's going to be him. Ooh, he's got 18 seconds, and Killinger's not looking the right way.
He gets past the initial
man.
coverage. Can he get inside this crate and cap? He is. He's inside. No, he's going to shift around to the backside. He finds Killinger. Shots come in.
Oh!
They win again. BossFight. Keep things tied. The Marsoc victories continue. But just by the skin of BossFight's teeth.
Wow, what a round. just down to the wire. And this is a map too that everybody expects every round is going to be going, you know, super fast. We're going to see like 1 or 2 minute rounds, and that one came down to, I think it ended at what, like 15 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, that was well, one of the first ones to come down to those final seconds. But yeah, literally the fire. I think there maybe was 4 or 5 seconds left on that timer, where beginners would have won that Volk round off of time, but instead it's beginners and BossFight tied up here 2-2 on USS Quest. Frankly, I'm smiling ear to ear here right now, Theta, because this is just so fun to watch as both of these teams really challenge each other.
It's truly a privilege and an honor to be able to cast a game like this, because you just see the highest level of the game, and they're both just trying so hard to beat each other. You can see it. Like, it's just coming through in their gameplay. There's so much effort and so much skill on display right now. Truly a treat for anybody that's, excuse me, who tuned in today.
No kidding. And I mean, again, we have quite the VRML list going on, I guess. If we had VRML TV right now, there would be 5 or 6 channels live. We have 3 Onward games, and I know EU Venue showcase for Echo Arena as they wind down their season. And, you know, a quick shout out while we do have a lot of the Onward fans in, I would recommend checking out the postseason matchups next weekend for Echo Arena. They're going to be incredibly exciting. It's going to be a great time if you enjoy watching some VR esports. But obviously, we got some esports in front of us here right now, Theta. This is a heck of a series as beginners and BossFight duke it out on Quest, and nearly, well, wow, a really quick aggression as flashes come in here down the red lane, and both squads getting fully flashed out. Legel finds pause up on that right side, and a nade comes in to catch 2.
Wow, and Highfish, the only one on objective, and he's getting 2v1'd right now. This is not good for BossFight. Okay, Legel's coming in to reinforce. That's better.
With
C4.
Oh, no,
Ooh.
Not reinforced as he blows Highfish off the side of the ship. Killinger comes here and swings in, and Legel finds the kill. And I wonder if the body went flying off of the ship for Legel as well, because that's unresable if it's the case.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's aware. I don't think he's looked at his tablet. But 35 is now looking at it. Oh, that was unfortunate.
Yikes. 35 with a team kill. And again, to your point, there is one resable. 35 is looking for the body, and I really wonder if the body's there. I think it might have flown off of the side of the ship.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Wow.
He was just
Okay,
basically
well,
walking around with a syringe out, hoping he'd hit the body, but
case in
it
point,
happened.
what we see sometimes isn't always what they're seeing on their client side. But yeah, the res does come in. And to your point, that body was somewhere in that pile.
Yeah, that team kill was so unfortunate, because right now they'd have a 3v2 instead of a 2v2. Oh, and Strayjack's on the objective. Nobody is... 35 needs to turn around right now.
He's here checking. He finds Icy Woods over the shoulder of Strayjack. Is Strayjack tucked in, not close enough to cap on objective, has to push up, challenges 35, and down he goes. Where's Highfish? He's tucked onto the edge. He doesn't have a good vision of objective. Strayjack could be punching in code, but beginner's not known for locking in with a cap, as he does look for the kill, and it bites him in the behind as Highfish finally locks in a Volk win here in this series.
So I don't blame Strayjack for doing that, because at this level, when you see an open objective, it's often a trap. They want you to come on and try to punch in the code so they can shoot you. So I think that instinct is correct. But in that, just in that real corner case of a situation right there, that cap was open. That could have ended the map right there. He doesn't have any way of knowing that. Always, to be fair, we have a much higher level view with these caster cams than they do. It's we've both been in the headset before. We know what that pressure is like. But man, that could have been the map ender. And now BossFight, in a fantastic situation because they've been winning Marsoc rounds. Now they're playing Marsoc, and this is not just map point, it's match point. They could take out beginners in the first 2 maps. And again, there was 61 votes to 7 for connoisseurs here for beginners. So this would be a gigantic upset if this happens.
I mean, they are really on the cusp of kicking off their season with a great week 2 win. I mean, they couldn't ask for a better way to go into this season 11 than to defeat beginners early in it. So they are real close to doing something that's really gonna boost them up for the rest of the season. And if you're beginners, you don't want to let this happen. You don't want your second week to have a loss, especially when you're a team that's been known to go undefeated through seasons.
Yep, and I was looking at the competitive record between these 2 teams across the seasons before the match, and BossFight has beat them before. So I think maybe 61 to 7 was a little unfair. I mean, BossFight is a good team; they always have been.
Yep.
But I think the connoisseur, especially early in the season, there's not really a good sense of how a team does in the season. A little one-sided right now.
Absolutely, but we'll see if beginners can regroup and defend here and lock then a Volk round of their own as some smokes do come in down red lane, trying to allow for Radarhead and Viper to push forward. Pause is tucked in and the defense is here on objective. I think the action that's most likely going to unfold first is going to be up through the middle as Highfish 35 and Lego do make their way up.
We're seeing a much more conservative defense this time from the beginners. The last time they were sending people up to the center of the deck. This time they are clustered around the objective. I think they are quite aware that they cannot lose this round, and so they are going to tuck in and force BossFight to come to them and take risks.
Smokes coming out from the offense. Nades just waiting to be deployed by Pause. Strayjack scoops up Highfish, trying to make his way up through the center. A good kill there. Woods is checking the edge, but Legel's using the ramp to his advantage. Shots coming in from Viper up over the head of Pause.
Yeah, it's worth noting for anybody that's not aware, these ramps are bulletproof, so you can use these as cover.
Oh, that's a great flash. That's tossed out. If it was a frag, I think it would have had Viper. Killinger finds Legel up through the center, and Viper still able to stay alive as 35 and Woods trade, and that is the center offense dead.
Yeah, that was a fantastic flash, like you said, and if Killinger had not been there, I think Icy Woods was dead from that catwalk, but they had very good overlapping lines to cover for that possibility.
And geez, we are seeing so many flashes in this series. This is what the teams are opting to take. They're not taking C4 or smokes. They're taking flash grenades. That was 6 flashes thrown on this red lane. Maybe 5.
Wow, and Viper, Radarhead, and Pause playing a game of peekaboo in the red lane. Every time they check each other's spots, they're not there. And Viper watching for a flank.
Jeez, I mean, these cement walls here are just so... They're so unique in the Onward space. I don't feel like there's anything at this height, per se, that perfectly camouflages people with crouching and then ultimately gives these great little head peeks like Radarhead has here. And you can see he's turned his gun sideways to clear his barrel over that edge so that he can really minimize how much he's exposing himself before he takes these shots.
Yeah, Lonely Viper rotating around to the opposite side. He's exited the red lane. He wants to go into the catwalk. Maybe gather some updated information about where the defense is. And maybe throw them off a little bit of a distracting fire there because he was not shooting at anybody. Yeah, and you can see an adjustment already by beginner. Strayjack comes around to the catwalk. Killinger seems to be somewhat static in his regular spot there. But yeah, that forced them to think a little bit. I don't know how effective it was. They seem to be falling back into their positions now.
the on-objective defense isn't really terribly strong. If they lose Pause and Smoils, you can cap on this green crate. Killinger and Strayjack have to do some pretty significant rotating to get there. I don't think they have C4 placed on objectives, so opportunity is here for the BossFight offense, but beginners do have this 4-2 advantage. Look at this, Viper making his push up. He spots the kneecaps of Pause. Down Pause goes. Spoils gets scooped up, and now the rotation has to come in from beginners as the crash comes in from BossFight. Killinger goes down, and a cap opportunities here. Viper's looking for the kill. Radar could be punching in the code while this happens, but Strayjack is swinging in. Flashes come up and over, and Radar finds the kill. They don't need the cap as they lock in the map win and the series 4-2.
Whoa. Like... Wow, Lonely Viper just on a roll on this map. That was another 3K for him. And wow, just a pro-level move there by both of them. Such a veteran moment, you can tell.
Yeah.
Because they could have gone for a cap attempt, but they both had the awareness to realize we don't need that. We've got a 2v1 right now. Let's go for the kill, and we solidify this win. We don't need to get 5 points. We just need 4. And Radarhead went in and reinforced Lonely Viper's position to pick off that last defender. That was so smart. So, wow, BossFight in 2 maps secure a win against beginners.
Look at this.
Just like you said. Just like you said.
Well, you know, at least we got something right, because I certainly wasn't expecting BossFight to lock in 2 maps like this, but they have indeed. Snow Peak and Quest going into the hands of BossFight, and now we go to Quarantine for BossFight's map 3 pick, and no surprise here as we anticipated. I think I got some. I'm just gonna put it in that they banned Downfall, because I can't imagine that they pick Quarantine over Downfall if it's an option.
Yep, agreed.
And that's deductive reasoning for you. But either way, a great series here from both of these squads, and just excited. Really, it's got me really excited for the rest of this season, which has been this whole. I mean, the first 2 weeks have just been fantastic. From new teams playing, looking strong and coordinated, to the veteran teams innovating, bringing new stuff to the table, and playing on maps that they historically have not played on. It's so exciting to see so early in the season. And I mean, what's great to think about is that we're going to get this throughout the whole season. After the first 5 to 6 weeks, we're getting a new map pool.
Yeah, we're only the 2nd week in, and already to the, this is the quality that we're seeing. I can only imagine, and especially what I'm in particular excited about is the postseason. I cannot wait to see who makes it. Like, the whole ranking configuration, I think, is going to look something like we wouldn't even expect. I think we're going to see a lot of teams from the lower ranks rise up. We're seeing so much talent down there already, and I can't wait to see, especially the Challenger Cup is going to be something to behold.
Yeah, it's very much got me looking forward, I suppose, already to that postseason. That's so many weeks away, though, and so many weeks of Onward to get better at the game and to practice and to train and to sort of hone in the strategy. I mean, this season is just going to be so fun. I know a lot of teams that are new, that are looking to sort of challenge the top 10, have been doing their homework. They've been really researching the VOD footage that's out there, and maybe they'll be able to get some kind of advantage because there isn't as much footage on them. So I'm interested to see what we get out of the new players coming in. But obviously, you know, when you watch a matchup like this, it's just a display of top-tier Onward skill. Great nades getting thrown, great flashes. Do see some team kills, which is honestly uncharacteristic at this level, but still just such coordination that it's coordination like that takes really tons of games as a team to get down.
Yep, that's one of those things where no one can really teach it to you. You just have to do it. And that sort of implicit communication between teammates, you just have to play with the same group of people over and over again to the point where you can read each other's minds and play in a coordinated fashion like that. Because if you try to be more explicit about it, it'll fall apart really quickly. And that's, I think, the primary advantage that these veteran teams have, is they've been doing that for so long. That's very hard to anticipate and counter whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're beginners right now, you really don't want to let a third map slip away, right? You do not want to allow BossFight to secure such an MMR gain on you early in a season like this. I mean, this is a huge opportunity for BossFight to secure ranks ahead of beginners, what they historically have not been able to do in a season.
Yeah, it's critical. I try to emphasize this to newer players all the time. Like, you cannot drop the third map. You need the third map. Even if you lost the first two, you know, you need to make sure. And likewise, if you won the first two, you can't drop it. You know, you have to just focus and play no matter what happened in the first two maps. But already I see Woods taking shots onto radar head, so they know they're coming from the south now.
What a wild defensive setup from this BossFight team. Legel swinging super wide, trying to get an angle onto the beginner's offense, and Viper's pushed up here. Those sniper shots do ring out, and they just miss. His first one there going a touch wide. And he's going to be in a world of hurt here soon enough as this offense starts to push into him.
And Killinger catches Lonely Viper proning above the fuselage. Already BossFight down 2 defenders, so 3v5, just hit the 1 minute mark.
Scooby's still here, able to defend this building, and actually he can take shots down into the bottom floor from where he is. He can drop down there. Killinger, in the meantime, has pushed up to the upper floor, and Scooby's going to not notice him. He will drop off of that fuselage and scoop up one, though, and now he is a threat for pause at the very least. But geez, I mean...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, the defense is just... It's UC death on objective, and that's it.
And Smoils is now coming from the north wall. He's looking... Oh, UC death looking away from Smoils. This could get ugly really fast.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Down he goes, and now a huge rotation has to come in. Smoils has all the time in the world to cap, and the coordination from beginners is gonna be here. So beginners finally going to be able to get a cap of their own, as Killinger does take shots towards Scooby-Doo. Scooby fortunate that he's still, well, unfortunate that he's not dead and that he is still alive, because Smoils is still here punching in the code. To the point, though, beginners taking their time on entering this in. Scooby can rotate up and doesn't get here in time. Smoils finally enters in the 7-digit code to lock in 2 points, and, well, a cap for beginners here to start off map 3.
Wow. Yeah, in a situation like that, I mean, it's one of those few moments where I would even advocate just deactivating, because you're not getting back in time when you're that far away. You know, nobody wants to be that guy that deactivates on cast, I think. But it's just something that you have to consider, because 1 point is better than 2 points always.
I've never seen it on a cast. Maybe it's happened in a league match, but I don't even think it's happened in a league match. And it is an option. If you are away from the objective and you can't defend it, you can essentially destroy it and give 1 point to the enemy team. So again, an option that we have not seen utilized, but it would have been that's literally was the perfect use case. They went for a risky defensive position that was very far away from objective. They lost their on-objective defense, and hey, if you're the last one alive, you want 1 point instead of 2. But either way, beginners do get a cap and a nice push-up from them. A great way to kick off this third map, and heck, if they can lock in this map 3 with 4 unanswered points, it would be exactly what they need to do.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
Yeah, and BossFight needs to fight back on this, because their MMR gain will be minimized if they don't take all 3 maps. So, yeah, like I was saying before, you just don't want to ever miss out on that MMR. And, oh, a drone just went up. But the beginner's impact building push identifies it, shoots it down, and Pause picks up UC Death. Killinger gets radar.
Jeez Louise, this is beginners getting bloodthirsty off of this spawn information. It's ended up costing them as 2 go down. Another gets scooped up by Scooby-Doo. Icy Woods finds death to the bullets of Scooby, and we're into a 2v2 in the first minute of a quarantine round.
Oh, yeah, just so much action in such a short
Hey, boy,
period of
I'm not going
time.
near that
Again,
shit.
people kind of stereotype, I think EU in general is just kind of like the plotting play style, but you're seeing some great counter examples throughout this match, including this round.
And it's just, again, worth pointing out the veteran knowledge that these teams have. A regular team may see the drone and think, oh, wow, a drone got over here and ID'd us. That drone was information for beginners. They then knew where the spawn of BossFight was. They knew that there was no way a drone could get to that position at that time without them being spawned on that side. And ultimately, they then push an attack off of that information. So really solid plays from beginners to get themselves this 3-2 advantage. It almost does work against them as the refrags start to come through, but still, they do have that advantage.
Yeah, there's a sort of game and counter game built into that. Like, yeah, you give away your spawn, but when they shoot it down, you also get information. So both sides updating their information back and forth with the use of the drone. And you can set traps almost. I'm not sure it was intentional in this case, but everybody rushed into impact building, and it didn't quite work out for beginners there.
Yeah.
It's 3v2, so a slight advantage for beginners, but this is still very winnable for the offense.
All the time in the world, too, so Lonely Viper can go on a long rotation to get the range and the angles that he's looking for. He's just clearing out this northeast entry point so that he can swing all the way in from the north and have a nice line of sight down that far north lane towards objectives. So he'll be able to get over there unseen, and again has all the time in the world. 313 to work with. Scooby just basically is going to be standing here against this wall for a while until radar gets into position, or excuse me, Viper.
Yeah, pretty good overlapping lines so far from beginners. This is a pretty solid defense to set up. So Smoyle's watching the far west, Icy Woods watching the center, and Stray Jack watching the east approach. I'm not sure how they would get through. I guess if Stray Jack, like right now, he's not watching the far east. If there's a cross of the money truck, someone could get around to the north wall on him. But other than that, it's a very solid line to take.
Viper has the scope. If he gets a
Yeah.
very tight angle, he might be able to find that shot. And I think, did he take shots? I don't even know. Stray Jack does drop off, and Viper no longer looking to push up along that lane. But Stray Jack has shifted out of his original position.
Give me a time for attack execution.
And we are just in to the back and forth phase here, where Viper and Scooby are clearing angles as they get closer towards objectives. The beginner's defense obviously tucked in around objective nicely. They don't want to let a cap through. They've already let a few caps through, and certainly don't want another one to be put up here. So it would put BossFight right back into this. Wow, and there's a big pickup. An on-objective kill. Icy Woods has to defend now, and he spots Viper. Down he goes. Scooby now on top of the hill. Not exactly a great spot to be, as he has a big rotation to make with only 53 seconds left.
Oh, Scooby just realized he was by himself. Yeah.
43 seconds, though. He can certainly crash objective. He's got to go straight to it. Can't go on too long of a rotation, and he's going to have to then challenge Woods and Who else is pushing up there? Smoils on OBJ. I really don't think he even has time to swing around. I think he had to go straight at it. 20 seconds now, ticking down. Time going to become an element. Smoils is exposed. Scooby's going to find one. Woods up next on the hit list, but Woods, with a great position in between those crates, finds the kill. And Beginners have a 3-0 lead in map 3.
Yep, and this is a map where you have a pretty strong Volk advantage, so BossFight could fight back here, get a pick up here, maybe another cap on the next round, but looking fairly grim for them. Beginners showing that they have the chops to win on Marsoc as well as Volk on this map. So BossFight has a tall order ahead of them right now.
Yeah, they do. Certainly not an easy objective to defend, and very curious to see. Well, I think maybe this one they can hold on to because Viper will be able to get into some decent sniper positions early because he can sit up in this, 4-story, but it's going to really come down to that sniper being effective. Otherwise, I think BossFight are going to have a tough time here.
Well, the problem with this objective is that it's eminently cappable. You can, if you can get in front of the objective, you can be undercover, and it's really, really hard for somebody even directly on the objective to see you. We've actually seen some, both in the preseason and I think even in some regular season matches now, people proning up to the objective under smoke, and you just can't see them from inside the objective building. But that being said, if BossFight can lock down a defensive round, I think it bodes well for them because it's so cappable, and they've already shown they can cap on Beginners.
Absolutely. We will see as we hop into our next round. Round number 3. We did have a cap. Quick map. Oh, an early shot's a quick spawn on the north from Smoils as he scoops up one. The frag comes in from Icy Woods on the Viper, and BossFight in a very quick 30 seconds are down 2. Beginners with north control are practically right on top of objective here.
Yeah, we were at 20 seconds when they lost those 2 players. That is not good on this objective. 3v5 trying to defend this one is very, very challenging.
Yeah, they have to rotate back. Pause trying to get a flank off. Gets a trade with Radar Head, and Radar certainly pretty far forward as well. It does push this BossFight defense down to just 2. And I mean, it's basically Scooby against the whole Beginners offense here, as he's got this position just on top of the objective with great overwatch.
It's just so tough because if they can get around to the west, take care of Legel, and get around him, they can cap from inside the building, they can cap in front of it. And there's just, not a lot of great options for dealing with this. I think they're just pre-firing there. I don't think they saw Scooby because he's staying pretty low.
If anything, shooting at the rotation of the disc, maybe getting caught off guard by that. Now, sure, Legel is on a bit of a rotation, though. He may be able to even the odds, so to speak, as Killinger and Woods are danger close to his line of sight. He swings out. He finds both. Woods and Killinger go down. A huge double kill, and that's enough for Legel. He's going to drop back. The question is, can Smoils get this lane in time? And he can't, as Legel tucks in with a great double kill, equalizing the odds just a bit. Oh no, and Smoils might go down here as Legel continues to push out. He just checked the lane, and Legel comes back around for more. He scoops up Smoils, and Beginners are getting shut down by a huge swing from Legel. Oh my
and
gosh,
Lego,
4.
wow. Yeah, Lego having one hell of a round, and that just changed the whole dynamic of this round. They had, what, 2v5, and now it's 1v2 in their favor? That is wild.
Really solid job there. But Strayjack has a good position up into this 2-story. He can get some lines of sight down into the relative objective space, but he's not going to be doing that. He's going to be looking for that rotation. And, I mean, geez, beginners just getting absolutely picked apart by Lego there.
Now it's all up to Strayjack, and he has a lot of ground to cover for 2 minutes. Unlike USS Quest, you cannot sit around on this map for too long. And covering that much distance and taking out 2 defenders, I don't know. That's going to be a tough ask for him. Not impossible. It's certainly doable, but every second that ticks down is working against him now.
Not sure the issue was there. Strayjack does finally push off the ledge. Seemed to be having some trouble jumping off, maybe getting the nerves to drop down the full floor of height, but he does hop off, and I think this is the right move here. He could, I mean, really turn this into a 1v1 against, I think, Scooby on objective and potentially punching the code right under the nose of Lego.
Certainly possible. Yeah, Lego's so far away, and the thing is, like you said, if he gets in there with Scooby-Doo, he can get low, and there's nothing Lego can do about it. He would have to get off the roof. You can't get off from that spot. You'd have to go around and then run right up to the objective. And in that time, Strayjack could easily punch in the code. That being said, Scooby's holding a pretty strong angle. If Strayjack decides to come into that objective room from where he's coming from now, he will have an angle disadvantage. And it's not impossible to overcome an angle disadvantage like that, but the odds are not in your favor.
Yeah, I highly doubt Strayjack's going to be ready for that hold there on that right side, especially since he's worried about clearing out all the potential angles here already. Does peek out, and he does find Scooby-Doo sleeping. Now he's in the corner. Pad does not come out. Strayjack holds. There's the pad. Lego, like you said, has to dip all the way around the backside of objective and start to charge in. Strayjack has time, and he gets the code. Beginners with the best possible outcome they could have asked for on map 3. Lock it in 5-0.
Yeah, keeping somebody off that objective was so risky and did not pay off that time. It was close too, and like we were talking about, that angle advantage that Scooby had inside, I thought for sure he's going to pick off Strayjack, but oof, yeah, good offensive push by Strayjack to make that happen and run in and get a cap in the last 20-30 seconds of the round.
I mean, we end the series with the total scoreline being 8-8. You know, just a crazy series. Honestly, a very unfortunate map 3 there from BossFight to just sort of let a big W become a little less impactful. But regardless, a great performance on maps 1 and 2 that does get them the series win. And I mean, geez, this BossFight team looking good in season 11. Coordinated, on point, great rotations, big triple kills and pickups from a couple of different players. I mean, just a great series overall to be tuning into. And I don't even know if we could have asked for better action today, Theta.
No, this was fantastic, and yeah, more to look forward to this season.
No kidding, a lot more to look forward to this season. And a brief shout out as we do wind down to everyone that has been tuning in. We do greatly appreciate everyone that does stop by to watch the streams. Make sure you hit that follow button, as there's going to be consistently a lot more Onward casts here and on Onward VRML 2 and 3 as well. Today we had 3 channels live. We very well still could have some of those games going on right now. So we will be dropping a host if those other channels do have are still going on with their games. But also a quick reminder to tune in to the Echo Arena postseason next weekend and the weekend after that. Next weekend's the Challenger Cup, and then they have the finals on the 16th, I believe. So some great Echo Arena to tune into if you do want to catch that. It's going to be incredibly hyped. There's going to be giveaways in chat just like we've been doing here, but a little bit more hype, I think. So if you do want to maybe get a chance at some free merch and some free goods, be sure to be tuning in then and catch some great Echo Arena action. That'll be it for us here on the desk. A shout out to all of our sponsors: HyperX, Asterion, Rebuff, Reality, Fixed, VR Cover, Cybershoes, B Haptics, Pro 2 VR, and VRware for coming together to sponsor this league and all of our and some of our other leagues as well. We do greatly appreciate all the support. They end up allowing us to offer some great prizes for our champions at the end of the season. With that, we'll be signing off. My name is Ben NightFiree with 2 E's, my co-caster Theta. Appreciate you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time.